that serve in a variety of different ways using different gifts. Sarah Hicks is one of our newly trained lay servants, but she's no stranger to speaking and preaching and being a leader in the church. So I've invited her to share a message today, and we invite you to hear what God is speaking to us today through the words that she will share.
You know, when Kyle asked me to speak, he said that he'd like for everybody to get a mother's perspective on Mother's Day, and I said, "Be careful what you ask for." Our scripture readings today come from two places. One is, both of them are very, very familiar to us. The first, of course, is the 23rd Psalm, and the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And then from the New Testament, we'll be reading from the book of John, chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and his sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. Whoever came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. Would you pray with me? Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. The lectionary for this Sunday includes two scriptures about sheep and shepherds. They're both very familiar and have a great deal to teach us. Get ready for Shepherding 101. Sheep aren't very smart. Let me revise that a bit. It's not that they're lacking in intelligence. They're just not very creative thinkers. They're not very imaginative. They're creatures of habit. They trust completely in their shepherd. Here are a few facts about sheep. Number one, they don't fight back. They're completely defenseless. When confronted by an attacker, they panic or simply lay down and wait to die. They can even give themselves a heart attack by imagining that a predator might come. None of us are like that, are we? Worrying about things that might happen? Well, I do that. Number 2, sheep cannot swim, ever. If they get into deep water, all of that beautiful wool becomes like a sponge and pulls them right down to the bottom. So only still water is safe water for a sheep. They must be led by a shepherd beside still waters. Here's another one. They're also really good at getting caught upside down on their backs and unable to turn back over. Do y'all remember that scene in A Christmas Story where the little boy gets in his snowsuit and falls over on his back and starts hollering for his brother? That's pretty much what sheep do. Somehow they get on their back, and by the time they do that, they're helpless. Someone has to come and tip them back over onto their feet. It's a difference between life and death for them. Because if they sit there long enough on their back, they give up and die. Jesus called himself the Good Shepherd. In fact, many Old Testament heroes were shepherds. Moses, Abraham, King David, many in the 12 tribes of Israel, and Jacob. They were all shepherds. You know, and moms are shepherds too, aren't we? Moms and dads both. If you think about it. Of course, we hope our kids have a little more sense than sheep do. We might ask them sometimes, what were you thinking? Number 1, the shepherd makes sure that the sheep are fed. They take them to green pastures with a soft bed of grass, maybe, to rest on. Believe it or not, there are many places in the world that don't have grass. Here, you don't plant a lawn, it just grows. But there's other places, like where I'm from in New Mexico, where you have to plant and irrigate a lawn. The Holy Land's another place where not everybody has a front lawn. A lot of places in the Holy Land are rocky and dry and treacherous places to travel through. They take them to places to help them find food. And they also make sure that their charges don't eat things that might make them sick or be poisonous. We Methodists love to eat, don't we? Have you ever heard the phrase, wherever 2 or 3 Methodists are gathered in his name, we'll have a potluck? Yeah. And that's another thing that United Methodist moms and dads that are shepherds do, is they guide their kids through the potluck line. I can remember when I was small, maybe 5 or 6, walking ahead of my mom with my little plate, and there was a big tray of sandwiches of all kinds. And I picked one and picked it up and took a bite of it. Didn't like it much, so I put it back. Never knowing what. And of course, Mom got the sandwich back off the tray, hopefully before anybody else saw, and explained to me later that we don't do that. If you take a bite of something, you keep it. She was leading me in my food choices and also teaching me social skills, which we moms do for our kids, don't we? Teach them how to behave in public. Have you ever uttered the words "not in public" to your kids? Yeah. Okay. Shepherd, lead the sheep beside still waters. It has to be still waters because choppy or rough or white water, those sorts of waters aren't safe for sheep because they might fall in, and there you go. The water gets in the wool and down they go to the bottom. The shepherd leads the sheep. They don't drive them. You ever tried to get a kid to hurry? I swear, whenever I uttered the words hurry up to my daughter when she was small, that immediately put her in granny gear. No offense meant to grannies, but the slowest gear that child had was what we got when I asked her to hurry up. They lead the sheep, they don't drive them. They allow the sheep to rest. Daily nap times provide rest, don't they? For moms and kids. The shepherd guides them with a staff and protects them with the rod, just as in the psalm, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Because we know that God will guide us, and we know that God will protect us. Shepherds sometimes prepare the pasture, make sure there aren't any rocks and thorn bushes. You know, we've got a couple of couples in our congregation that are modern-day shepherds. One of them are the McCulloughs, and then Janice DeWell has sheep as well. And I had the great joy of calling James and Connie this week and asking them what it's really like to take care of sheep. They owned sheep for 41 years, right? Yeah. Though they both worked for a living, a lot of their free time was spent caring for those sheep. They also confirmed that sheep today aren't any smarter than they were in the Bible days. Many times James or Connie would go out to check on the sheep before going to sleep themselves. And an issue with a ewe or a lamb would occur, and they would end up spending much of the night out in the barn with them. And this is when James made a statement that really stuck with me. He said, I made sure they ate, and I made sure they made it through the night. Isn't that like God is? How many dark nights has God seen us through? How many dark, stormy nights has our good shepherd seen us through? And how many times have we chosen to travel difficult roads that God would gladly travel with us if we had just asked him? You see, God longs to be with us always, in times of great joy, and to comfort and strengthen us when our hearts grow weak or broken. And in turn, how many dark, difficult times have we seen our children through? After the funeral, the young widower fixed himself and his child some supper, and after that got them ready for bed, because aching emptiness in his heart wouldn't allow him to do anything more. He allowed the boy to sleep with him that night, and eventually all of the heartbreaking questions about where is Mama? And why isn't Mama coming home? And when will Mama come home? All those questions ceased, and the boy grew quiet. Finally, out of the darkness came one more question. Daddy, is your face toward me? Because if your face is toward me, I think I can sleep. And after reassuring him both verbally and with his touch that his face was indeed towards the little boys, the exhausted father turned his wounded heart to his Father in heaven. And he said, Lord, it's so dark. And I admit I can't see my way through right now. But if your face is toward me, I think I can make it. If your face is toward me, I know I can make it. God is our shepherd because Jesus promised. But we don't always let go and trust him, do we? God knows us. He created us. It says in the Psalm that he knit us together in our mother's womb. And all we have to do for him to bring the best things into our life is simply to ask him and to trust his heart. Because his enormous heart is simply bursting with love for his children. Because with sheep, they might struggle for a little bit, but when the shepherd works with them, they eventually stop struggling and allow themselves to be helped. Sometimes we act more like cats, don't we? Sorry for everybody that's heard this story, but it's too good not to tell it twice. Ever tried to give a cat a pill? Caleb and Anna remember, huh? Yeah. All right. Step one. Oh, and a couple of disclaimers before we start. I would never treat my cat like this, and I don't drink scotch. Just so you know, okay? All right. Just make that clear from the beginning. All right. Number one, pick up the cat and cradle it in the crook of your left arm, as if holding a baby. Position right forefinger and thumb on either side of cat's mouth and gently apply pressure to cheeks while holding pill in right hand. As cat opens mouth, pop pill into his mouth. Allow cat to close mouth and swallow. Number two, retrieve pill from floor and cat from behind sofa. Cradle cat in left arm and repeat process. Number three, retrieve cat from bedroom and throw soggy pill away. Take new pill from foil wrap, cradle cat in left arm, holding rear paws tightly with left hand. Force jaws open and push pill to back of mouth with right forefinger. Hold mouth shut for a count of 10. Number 4, retrieve pill from goldfish bowl and cap from top of wardrobe. Call spouse in from garden. Kneel on floor with cat wedged firmly between knees. Hold front and rear paws. Ignore low growls emitted by cat. Get spouse to hold head firmly with one hand while forcing wooden ruler into mouth. Drop pill down ruler and rub cat's throat vigorously. Number 5, retrieve cat from curtain rail. Get another pill from foil wrap. Make note to get new ruler and repair curtains. Carefully sweep shattered figurines and vases from hearth and set to one side for gluing later. Wrap cat in large towel and get spouse to lie on cat with head just visible from a below armpit. Put pill in end of drinking straw. Force mouth open with pencil and blow down drinking straw. Check label to make sure pill not harmful to humans. Drink 1 beer to take taste out of your mouth. Apply Band-Aid to spouse's forearm. And remove blood from carpet with cold water and soap. Retrieve cat from neighbor's shed. Get another pill. Open another beer. Place cat in cupboard and close door on neck, leaving head showing. Force mouth open with dessert spoon. Flick pill down throat with rubber band. Number 7, fetch screwdriver from garage and put cupboard door back on hinges. Drink beer. Fetch bottle of scotch. Pour a shot. Drink a shot. Apply whiskey compress to cheek to disinfect, and check records for last tetanus shot. Toss back another shot, throw t-shirt away, and fetch new one from bedroom. Call fire department to retrieve the cat from the tree across the road. Apologize to neighbor who crashed into fence while swerving to avoid cat. Take last pill from foil wrap. Tie the little bugger's front paws to rear paws with garden twine and bind tightly to leg of dining table. Find heavy-duty pruning gloves from shed. Push pill into mouth, followed by large piece of steak fillet. Hold head vertically and pour 2 pints of water down throat to wash down pill. Number 8, consume remainder of scotch. Get spouse to drive you to the emergency room. Sit quietly while doctor stitches fingers and forearm and removes pill remnants from your right eye. Call furniture shop on way home to order a new table. Arrange for SPCA to collect mutant cat from hell. And call local pet shop to see if they have any hamsters. So relax. Let God take the lead. He will remain with us through the night, through the storm. James and Connie told me about another occasion when their property flooded. The sheep stood there in the rain until the water was nearly over their heads. Just stood there. They would have stood right there until they drowned. Think about that for a minute. They would have stood there until they drowned. But James and Connie waded into those waters and walked each and every one of them to safety. If they who are human can show such love to these maddening creatures, how much more does God want to walk us through our storms? And why do we resist him? Don't you grow weary of the rain and the thunder? Don't you grow heart sore when you lay to rest one more person that you loved and that brought joy into your life? Is worry over the finances stealing your rest and eroding your peace? Aren't you sick and tired of carrying that sack filled with old grudges and bitterness about things that happened long ago? Draw near to the Good Shepherd. Lay those things at his nail-scarred feet. Give to him all of those old resentments, and he will give to you rest and peace and courage. So happy Mother's Day, all of us mother and father shepherds. Happy Mother's Day to mothers who are mothers and fathers to their kids. Happy Mother's Day to parents who are parents of kids that might not have been born biologically to them. Happy Mother's Day to mothers and fathers who are raising their grandchildren or even great-grandchildren. And happy Mother's Day to God the Father, the Good Shepherd. Would you pray with me? Jesus, help us to stop resisting. Help us to stop worrying. Help us to stop being so danged independent. Help us to accept your help. Help us to trust your heart.